I think that the ophthalmic technician is not paid enough. I'm going to put it out there. I think that when we offer an experienced tech $19 an hour, I feel like that is, it's not enough. It's not enough to motivate anyone in 2025.
Welcome to Season 2 of the Ophthalmology Experience powered by Boost Patients. Today we're joined by Maryann Romero. With 20 years of experience in ophthalmology, she's built her career right here in Austin, working across retina, cataract, refractive, glaucoma, and dry eye. She's now pursuing her COT and OSA certifications and loves helping practices blend patient care with technology in a way that still feels human. Maryann, great to have you on the show.
Guido, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. And I think we're taking a different approach today because I think one of the most important people in our clinics are people like you and have a very strong um, perspective that I think is important to hear because providers and practice administrators, we do a lot of work to try to help take great care of patients, but none of that would be possible without the ophthalmic technician. So it's really cool that you're able to talk to me today. So thank you very much. And
Thank you. I'm honored to be here on behalf of a group of individuals that really are often the quiet heartbeat of most ophthalmic clinics.
yes, I agree 100%. And have you spent your whole career in Austin?
I have been rooted in Austin the majority of the time. I've been really fortunate to grow alongside some of the best in Austin, and it's awesome.
Do you have any? So we have clinics in Houston and Austin, and I'm currently in Houston, Katy, Texas, but I'm there. I'm in like at least a couple of times, a couple of days a month. So do you have any like favorite coffee spots or restaurants or places that or a place that I need to go to next time I'm there?
Let's see. In Austin, really, I don't think you can go wrong with the coffee spots. I
Uh-huh.
would try a place called Thoroughbred.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna write it down. um, well, can you just? I want to get a perspective just from your experience. So, can you tell me a little bit about the different roles that you've had and the clinics that you work for? Just a brief summary.
Absolutely. So I've been in ophthalmology about 20 years. I kind of stumbled into it as an optometric technician
Mhm.
and followed those patients into ophthalmology because I knew they were going somewhere that offered something so much more. And it was amazing. Ophthalmology, I've worked from the front of the eye to the back. I've done refractive, cataracts, glaucoma, love dry eye. It's all been so fun. And most recently, I spent time as a clinical research coordinator in retina, which was no pun intended, but it was very eye-opening. And it's been amazing. Yeah.
And I'm sure you've worked for several practices and had a lot of experience working with a lot of coworkers, different doctors, different
Yeah.
practice administrators, and you've probably seen from A to Z, like different personalities, different, they're just basically human. I mean, people, we're all different and we communicate differently. What me as a business leader in ophthalmology constantly try to figure out is what drives and motivates the ophthalmic technician. Because like you said, the quiet heartbeat, but sometimes more than a quiet heartbeat. You guys are really the the secret behind the sauce, and it's so. From your perspective, what do you think drive? Is it a personality trait? Like what pulled you into being an ophthalmic technician? Just the desire to help people. What drives you?
Personally, what drives me is going to be the I I I want to be there. We're all here because of a calling, and that calling is care. And when we enter this field, it may start as a set of eyes. We're very interested in the eyes, but at some point there's a shift and it becomes about the entire human in that chair.
Mhm.
And we want to show up for that person. We want to champion our doctors. We want to, however you call it, roll out the red carpet, VIP treatment, gold star treatment. We want to be there. And it doesn't matter where our patient is, because sometimes we meet our patients not on the happiest days. Sometimes they're grumpy, sometimes they're anxious. But when we take the time and invest in that patient, sometimes ophthalmic technicians are given about 15 minutes to build that trust and bond. And when we take the time to do that, sometimes an angry patient ends up just being a patient who is really afraid.
Mhm.
You unlock something when you slow down and you give a patient time. And that moment, that connection, I think is what drives most of us, that human connection. It goes from being technical work to emotional labor. And when you blend your technical aspect and you blend that with the empathy aspect, it becomes more of a compassionate care. And that's what I think we're all after.
Yeah, I can see that in some of our best technicians, just the desire and the joy of really helping people and helping people see better, and helping explain the process of this this whole thing that they're going through, because what we forget is what we do this every day, and
Right.
so we know what's happening, but as a patient you don't, and so that sometimes that fear, because they just don't truly understand what's happening, can turn to anger. And I tell a lot of the staff, like, just, I know it's hard, but try not to take it personally, because it's really, it is more of a fear. It's something that we need to help them through, and they're going to follow your energy and how you treat them. And so, you're just, even just talking to you right now, you have such a soothing voice. I bet you're really good at helping bring down that patient that's escalated and upset, and just talk very calm and soothing, and just explain what's happening, and they tend to come down, right?
You bring an excellent point. The voice of the technician. What is that really, right? I think the voice of the ophthalmic technician is the one that you hear before you have surgery. This is the ophthalmic technician preparing you on the only set of eyes you'll ever have. It's a trust, right? This is the technician who is talking you through your very first injection, which can be terrifying. And this is the same voice that you're left with when the doctor leaves the room. And that
Sure.
diagnosis begins to sink in.
Yeah.
We're that voice, and we have to leave space for our patients to feel uncertainty and feel all of these things. We have to hold that space for them. And again, it's intentional. You have to meet that patient right where they are each and every time, and you have to want to do it.
Mhm. Yes, I wish. Yes, I'll ask you the question later. What I was thinking you were talking, but I want to further the point of, like, what drives technicians and what makes a great technician. I'm sure you've had many coworkers, and you've worked in different places. Probably some great coworkers, probably some not so great coworkers. Like, from your experience, and what are the qualities that make a great ophthalmic technician?
First, it's going to be the initiative. Somebody who is there because they want to be there. So we start there. You can't train compassion. So somebody has to show up on the front lines, and that has to be part of what they feel. What do you want your family member to go into the office and feel, right? Um, again, we're there to model our doctors' standard of care. So whatever our doctors and our leaders are pouring out into the office, that's going to ooze right on into the technicians, and that energy is going to spread across your patients. So it really, what builds a great technician, a lot of times it starts from the top. It starts from our leaders who motivate us, who believe in us, who are transparent, they're available. There's so many things that leadership can do to show up for those technicians so that when we come out of a lane, we're not walking into a negative environment. Sometimes it's hard in that exam lane. Sometimes we just saw a challenging patient. Did you just see a challenging patient, doctor? Well, guess who saw that patient first?
And they're
And
usually a lot nicer to the doctor than they are the technician.
they usually are, and that's okay. That's okay. We're here to, again, champion our doctors. That's our doctor's patient, and we want to make sure that they have the best experience possible. But what we can't forget at the end of the day is that the ophthalmic technician is also invested.
Right.
Yes, it's the doctor's patient, but we're very invested in this care. That's why we're here, and that's what makes a great ophthalmic technician: the want to be there, the desire to do that
Yeah.
and do it well.
Yeah, that's a great point because I think what a takeaway for administrators is that when you're looking to hire your ophthalmic technician staff is to think about the way that you approach interviewing in a way that determines the right cultural fit as opposed to the skill set fit, right? Because we can train how to refract and get a pressure and
Right.
get a history. We can train that stuff, but and I think sometimes as practice members can be guilty of trying to quickly fill holes and trying to figure out, okay, well, who has some experience? Let's get them in the door, but that can backfire. So my takeaway for administrators is take your time and make sure that that person has the right motivation, like you said, has some desire to work hard because you can usually tell, and just by past work experience and certain behavioral questions that you ask, what is the motivating factor of that person. But especially since COVID, since we've had more turnover in this field in the ophthalmic technician, just a little bit more movement. It's been harder to fill those roles. So I think we tend to fall back into that. Okay, well, let's just. Oh, you have a little bit of experience over there, like you're hired, right? It's just because you're trying to
Right.
fill holes, and so we just have to take our time a little bit.
Right. And there's kind of an ongoing joke in the ophthalmic technician field where you just kind of have to hit the ground running. You jump into clinic and there really isn't time to discuss what to do. And sometimes you do need to take a step back and you need to reiterate, what do we want in this clinic? And if smiling at your patients and offering a gentle tone is something that you're after, let's make it part of our standard of care. And I can even almost assure you, in the rush of throwing people into a role, I bet half of them don't even know what their doctor's standard of care is. You have to slow down and remember what you're here for. We're here for the care, and the care and patient care should never be silent.
Spoken like a true professional. So I want to give you a chance, Marianne, to talk to all those practice administrators that, and you don't work for them, and you don't have to worry about feeling or being honest or saying what you really feel, because the people who listen to this podcast, the few that do, I think are mostly practice administrators in ophthalmology, and maybe a few providers that are trying to get some tips because they help manage their business. But what are some of those things that, in maybe not so great situations or great situations, that you want that administrator to know? Uh, like, hey, this situation could have been better if this, or this was, or do you have like somebody that you worked for that was just amazing and they were a great mentor, and what are some of the great things that they did?
I've been really fortunate, Guido. I don't know if it's communication that has helped so much along the way, but I will tell you what does make a good leader, and great administrator and a happy environment is going to be the leader who is transparent. They are available. They are, you know, they're there ready with a thank you. They're creating an energetic environment. The leader who immerses themselves in what this buzzword culture, 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 hashtag culture. That is all we hear right now. But really, I think we have to remember that culture is living and breathing and thriving in the staff that you already have. It really does boil down to your front desk. Do they stand up and smile when the patient walks in? Does your technician take a second to go the extra mile? And does your doctor say thank you at the end of a busy day? These are all small things. Gratitude doesn't have to come in a big fancy basket. Sometimes it comes in the form of a thank you. Sometimes it comes in the form of hand sanitizer. Technicians can never have enough hand sanitizer. We do love it. Each and every time we're grateful for it. But
Yeah, yeah,
it matters. All those small gestures and the leader being a part of what we're going through, not speaking from the outside in, but right there on the inside with us, it makes all the difference in the world.
for sure. Yeah, a lot of what I heard you say is communication and transparency, and I couldn't agree more because you know you if you're not modeling the behavior that you want, then people are not going to exhibit that behavior when it comes to being respectfully transparent and just telling people where they stand and helping people when they need it. So I agree with you. It really starts with the administrator and the providers to be. I'm gonna ask you about them next too. To be transparent about what it is they need from you, and then also giving a little bit of gratitude. I think we're always very quick to talk about what's being missed,
Mm,
right? From the ophthalmic technician
mm,
standpoint, very quick to say, "Oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that." But I think gratitude goes a long way. I've taken the stance many times of where a doctor makes a complaint about a technician, they're not doing X, Y, Z. I'll actually go to the technician and I'll thank them for doing that. Thank you for doing this. And I'll explain very clearly what it is that I'm thanking them for.
yes.
And it's just like a different posture, like, oh, okay, you're welcome. Thank you so much for noticing. And that actually changes the behavior quicker than, "Hey, you didn't do this, this, this," right?
I've taken that stance too. I've absolutely taken that stance. Like so and so missed this, and what about this, this, and that? But what about this entire 45 minutes that they just bonded with your patient? Look at
Mhm.
this amazing chief complaint. Look at this great, measurement. And we missed one thing. We're on it. We're going to go get it because we're here for it and we want to gather that information. But let's not miss everything else we did. Did we just do 10 patients? Great. And we missed one thing. We're so sorry. It doesn't boil down to that. It is about gratitude, and it does add a little pep in someone's step. It changes everything.
For sure.
And a thank you in the middle of the day goes a long ways, not just the
Absolutely.
end of the day.
Yep, for sure. And jumping in too, like you said, when I when somebody who's running the business part, sometimes it's, we're not gonna be in an exam lane all day working on patients. That's just not
Right.
our role. However, when I first took my first management job, I would just whenever the clinic would get behind, I would jump in and start doing scans and jump in and do visual fields. That way, they're just not just sitting there and they can start working out with their patients. And the response was big. I mean, it's huge response. So what I tell the managers that I mentor is, you got to know enough to understand how the business runs, and you got to know enough to be able to get by every department that you manage. So you gotta
Yes.
really kind of get out of your comfort zone, and I'd have the technicians teach me, like, "Hey, teach me how to do this pentagram,
Yeah.
teach me how to do it." And that I think that transparency of, I don't know as much as you do in your role, and that's okay. I'm not supposed to, but I'm being open, and I want you to show me, and I'm also going to give you some tools to help you in your career as well. So
Right.
I think from an ophthalmic technician standpoint, you could appreciate that and really, I think, respond to that when you think.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest, when a manager jumps in and they're there to just have your back, it
Mhm.
matters. It shows it shows a ownership and leadership. Like, this is my team. I'm not going to let them sink. We're slow right now. I'm jumping in, and
Right.
I'm going to get us to where we need to be. But um, I wouldn't necessarily expect my leader to always jump in. I understand the division between me being a tech and my leader needing to lead. So I would at least just expect them, as long as they understood the technical aspect, maybe they couldn't always jump in because that's my role and I should keep us flowing and I should keep us going. But the understanding of what I'm doing and it being hard work, that in itself builds a gratitude from your leader.
Quick break brought to you by Boost Patients. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably a physician, a practice admin, or maybe someone on the marketing team, and you really have a singular goal. You want new patients, more consults, higher surgery volume. And oftentimes, when you want that, you think immediately about marketing, spending more on marketing, investing more in marketing. Maybe, but probably not. We've mystery shopped over 600 practices, and there's one commonality with all of them. They're not very effective and not very good at patient follow-up. So before you invest more money in marketing and more into that investment, you really need to understand how your practice is following up with new patients. So go to boostpatients.com, fill out the contact us form, and let me know that you want us to mystery shop your practice. We'll mystery shop it. We'll document how your practice follows up with your new patient lanes, and we'll share that information with you. Now, back to the show.
Absolutely. And probably more important is the doctor, in my opinion.
Let's
So
go there.
I tell them, so I tell many of them, the clinic's only going to run as well and be as well cultured as you are. So it so you have so much impact that you need to understand how you treat the staff matters, the things that you say matter, even though you don't think people hear you. All of that matters, and I'm sure we don't name names, but I've worked with many amazing physicians, and I've worked with some physicians that make me want to pull my non-existent hair out. But there's certain qualities of the really good ones, and I know you've worked with a lot of doctors. So, from
Yeah.
what are some of those things that the best doctors that you've worked with? What do they do? How do they make you feel important and special?
Gosh, I've had doctors invest in me for my uh
Like education,
what's certifications. Thank you. I went blank for a second there. Doctors who take the time to invest in that, or mentor you, or they're plugged into what's happening at least with your life. They're not just working beside you day by day and have no idea who you even are. They realize that you're there making their clinic flow. Um, they treat you as a person, as a human. You're not necessarily their partner because that's your doctor, right? Um, but they treat you as though you're invested in the care of that clinic as well. They understand you're there for them because that's the truth. We are. We're here for you. We want to make your clinic shine. So it's okay to step out of your doctor moment and recognize that in your staff. It's okay to get your staff lunch. It's okay to stop and thank your staff. It's okay to just take a moment and be and just be. Sometimes you have to step out of that element and have some just downright good old human interaction with your doctor, and it builds a bond.
for
Builds
sure.
a bond, but in the end, I think it's easy for a doctor to forget sometimes what we're doing because they're busy. They're so busy. But if when they do take the time to recognize that, it goes a long ways.
Yeah, I tell some of the doctors that I've worked with over the years, because I've seen the two different examples of you can get mad, and you can be loud, speak loudly, and all that. And I think staff will, in the moment, they'll try not to make a mistake and get you what you want. However, if you really want to be successful long term, what you need to do is work to get the clinical staff to really support and get behind you and really like you. Because when you have a support staff that really likes you, they're going to do things that help you become more successful without you even knowing it or asking for it. And I've seen those two for different examples. I've seen it both where you have a doctor who's constantly, giving his staff kudos, or his or her staff kudos, or whatever the case may be, and they're having conversations in the break room, in the hallway, about, getting the information for this person. It's just the reality of humans. Like, people want to be around people that they like and they support. So
Yes.
build a team of people that are going to support you, right?
That's right. Build a team of people who have that same belief, that core belief that the care and patient care should not be silent. That core belief alone is going to change everything, you know?
Absolutely. For sure. I want you to help me figure out a long-standing challenge that when I first came into this to managing ophthalmology, I dealt with it when I had a staff of technicians reporting to me. My management team now still has the same thing. Gone up and down over the years. I really have not figured it out, and I want you to help me with it. And it's the consistent complaint from, and it's not always, and it's not all locations, but it tends to resurface, is this technician is not working up, or is not working as hard as me. I'm working, I'm doing more patients than this person. And I've been in situations, or seen situations, where a person truly believed that another technician or multiple technicians weren't pulling their weight. I mean, they believed it. And then we go back and we pull the numbers, and they're actually below in terms of volume output of the other technicians. And so it's, and I've told some of the technicians over the years, I say, trust me when I say that your hard work is recognized, and it's also, likewise, you're being rewarded as such. So that doesn't always work, because if people still feel, even though I know from the back end that the best and the hardest working technicians are being compensated the most, they have the most respect, there's still something about the team wanting everybody to pitch in, or have equal distribution of work.
It doesn't work that way. It's not going to work that way because if you are the lead, maybe you don't have the title, but you're rising to the occasion, then just do it. Rise to the occasion. Take those charts, turn and burn, and keep it going because eventually your compensation does come, your rewards do come. But this is not the field where somebody's going to take the time to shine a bright light on you. You need to stop and recognize why you're here. And that's going to boil down to that individual again. Um, are you here because you need constant recognition? It sounds like when you do end up having somebody who comes back time and time again and they don't feel that that work is equal, perhaps they need to see that in front of them. Let's start initialing, what patients you're taking, divvy it up, make sure no one's skipping charts. Sometimes you have to put those little rules in play
Mhm.
so that people can see the balance, but in the end, you may just need a big powwow to say, hey, are you here because you want to see the most patients or the least patients, or you need it to be completely divided? Or are you here just to see the patient and get it done? You know?
Mhm. Yeah. And so next time a technician comes with that, I'm going to take this snip and just say, "Here, watch what Maryann said." Okay, go back and work up.
Let's do it.
uh, so just to kind of finish that thought. So another thing that we did is try to, because you said the skipping charts, and there might be reasons, one for one way or another, to take a different patient back. But then the perspective
Right.
of the other person is like, well, I saw that person, they didn't grab the cat eval, they grabbed the post op, but maybe there was a reason to do it. So maybe what us practice administrators can do a better job of is being clear about how that workflow should go. Because if
Right.
you're trying, like, we got a multifocal post-op patient who's been there for 30 minutes waiting to be pulled back, and then we have a new patient there, or another patient, maybe we want to fast track that patient, but whatever those rules are of your practice, you probably need to make sure that that's clear.
That should always be clear. Establishing a clear flow and having a set tech to control that flow is very helpful. Very, very helpful. When you have, I mean, again, we call us the heartbeat for a reason. We need to keep that flow going. That flow is imperative to a clinic.
Absolutely. Another thing we tried, I'm just curious on your take on this, is that some other people have developed a system of measuring really output. So not so much quality, because there's chart audits for quality and that kind of stuff, but more so like how many patients did you work up? So basically taking the different kinds of exams, like let's say a long new patient exam versus a short office visit versus a refractive consultation, whatever. So they all have different values based off how long it might take a technician. You assign a value, you have a system that counts up every technician's number and type of patients, and then you come up with some math, a numerical number for each person. At the end of the day, you worked up X amount of at this value, X amount of points, X amount of points. So he started gathering that data, and we've tried in some places kind of showing like, okay, well, let's show the top 3 people, or not saying it at all, saying, okay, well, we're going to work with the people at the bottom of the tier. We're going to work to support and get you training and figure out how we can get you up to the mid to the upper tier of points. So as a technician, do you think would you want to know, cuz I feel worried that we shouldn't do the publish the whole list, because then it could get kind of catty, but would you want to know like the top performers and then people strive to be that, or should we work silently with the bottom performers?
It's a really good question, right? It's essentially showing everyone how you're measuring their work. It's the metrics behind it. And I think that it really depends on whether or not somebody is numbers driven or not. For me personally, when you put numbers in front of me, I want to be the top, you know? So, I think if you have, if you are building a culture that is performance driven by numbers, absolutely show the numbers. But if you're trying to keep a nice, quiet balance, I wouldn't pull that up. No, because you're right. That can easily create some cattiness. But if you're trying to bring out the leaders and raise the rest, I mean,
Yeah.
we are only as strong as our weakest link. So I think we should pair the weakest with the strongest and let them, follow and shadow for as long as needed. We need to invest in those weak links to bring them up so that we don't have this problem and everybody can be even across the board. Train, train, train. All we can do is fail up.
Yeah. If we had a clinic full of Maryanns, I think I'd be fine. uh,
Awesome.
so what do you think, or what do you personally, or what do you think ophthalmic technicians value in a practice, as far as like perks or benefits? Like, what are the things that you or your peers look for?
I'm going to mention something that I think a lot of us do not talk about, but that's going to be pay.
Okay.
I think that the ophthalmic technician is not paid enough. I'm going to put it out there.
Okay.
I think that when we offer an experienced tech $19 an hour, I feel like that is it's not enough. It's not enough to motivate anyone
Right.
in 2025. Um, if I'm just starting, that feels fair. That feels fair, right? But
Sure.
if I'm coming with all of this experience to elevate your clinic, what does that matter to you? What do you want to invest in that?
Mhm.
How much do you want talent? Because talent is not cheap. Let's be real. And I think that you get what you pay for. I also think that I think that, well, the hand sanitizer, please add that in. And of course, everything that comes with that culture that everyone I think is trying to build right now, that positivity, the transparency, the availability, it's really cool to be that leader in today's world.
Mhm.
So do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, offer that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so pay equity, I think, is what you said. You know.
I think that most technicians would get on board with that. I
Yep.
mean, I've been in the field a really long time, and I know some talent out there that I think they should be paid almost as much as the doctors. These ladies blow my mind, you know? I really can't even believe some of the talent that's out there.
Send
I
them
really
our way.
can't.
Well, let me throw this one at you in terms of pay equity, because this is one that has come up for me in the past. So you've got a clinic who has all those great things you're talking about: supportive doctors, a great environment, a great culture. The pay scales for the ophthalmic technician staff might be here.
Mhm,
And then you've got another clinic who, not so great culture. Maybe a doctor who, maybe not the nicest. The pay scale is up here, right? Another difference will be is that in this doctor's office, where the pay scale is up here, not so great environment, there's less technicians.
mhm,
In this environment, the ratio per patient to technician is lower, so there's more technicians per patient, right? Because I've heard some technicians come in and say, "Oh yeah, we worked up 60 patients, and it's me and one other person," right? And then so because we've had technicians see job postings from, the clinic B that is $5 an hour more, and say, my value is $5 an hour more. And we say, okay, well, I want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples before you make your determination of, how
right.
you're making that decision, is that we're not comparing the same thing. So if you were in the similar position and you and I had this conversation, how much value are you putting longevity and where you want to be and pay scale, and then chasing the dollar today versus where you make in 6 months you might not want to be there.
Okay, that's very true. You bring up a very great point. I think what really is going to separate those. So this clinic with that's $5 less, but offers so much more. I'm going to look at the whole package. What are all the benefits here? Because I may make up that $5 in my benefits. I
Mhm,
may make up that $5 within the year or 2 years because they offer awesome raises at every
mhm.
so many months, right? So that could easily be a quick fix of
Yeah,
$5.
yeah, yeah.
Whereas the other clinic, I could look at it as less techs. I have a chance to go in there and create the culture.
Mhm.
For $5 more, I can go
They're
in
great.
there and build and build what we need. I can help that doctor. I can guide that clinic. So it really is, it's not apples to apples. But that $5 is really shiny, especially if I can mold an office to where we need it to be. Um, but you're right. The happy environment most likely will win because no one wants to go into an unhealthy environment anymore. I mean, we're in 2025. We're all about, self care. What's up with self care? And as a technician, what we do really takes so much energy that we have to be able to restore it. So, am I going to be able to restore that energy coming out of a lane in this negative office with the bright, shiny $5? Or
Mm,
am I going to be able to work up my less patience with more help, $5 under, but be in a supportive, great environment. So I easily think $5 less may win that one.
yeah, and it's probably dependent on the situation, right? Because
Yes, it is.
you know the the total compensation has been a big one we've used to show, because like medical benefits are so expensive, and
Yeah.
not all clinics are equal. So if you show base compensation plus medical package, dental, and 401k, and if you add up all those benefits, I don't think enough people, and I understand that the now is the now, and people need to pay their bills and have enough money to survive, and especially in Austin. but there's a big picture that I'm glad that you say that, because I want to, I want to highlight that the people need to look at the total package and really understand where they want to have a future. And it's not always the rabbit that wins. Sometimes the tortoise wins, because
Yes.
you slowly continue to grow and you creep up and you grow, as long as it's in the right place, right?
Right. I mean, I think it matters. I think self-care is an investment in itself. So that would easily
Yeah,
make up for the $5 to not have to come out and stress in your environment in between each exam lane.
right. um So we're going to wrap up, but I want to get your thoughts. Like, do you have any final thoughts for your peers, or for people like me, or for doctors? It's a safe space. Anything that you think, in this field, here's what I'd recommend, that you think about. Is there anything like that you can think about?
I think that it's time for a wave of kindness to make its way through our field.
Hmm.
I think a lot of us have been in this field for a very long time, and sometimes we get set in our ways. But we we need to remember always that we're here, all of us, even in different offices, in different settings, we are all here for that one patient. We are invested in that outcome. And I think that creating a nice environment so that we can mirror that for our patients, it really matters. No matter how we divide it, it's going to start at the top. And we're here to reflect the care that you give.
And I'm going to add on something that you already said earlier, because I think it's so important, and it's what I tell people too. It was the example when I said about not worrying about how much you're working at versus another person. You said something to the effect of, you know what? You grab that next chart, turn and burn, and just work really hard, and the rewards will come.
They
I
will
c-
come.
I can say that wholeheartedly to anybody, not just ophthalmic technicians, anyone.
Anyone.
Just kill the game. Like, push, push, push. Be a good person. It may not feel like it's paying off immediately, but it 100% will. And so
Yes.
I appreciate
Yes.
you saying that, because I try to say that every day to people, like, keep going forward and just do what you think is right, and things will come. It's not the other way around. It's not pay me all this money and then all of a sudden be an amazing employee.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. It's the other way
Right.
around. So thank you for sharing that perspective.
Absolutely. You're so welcome.
Um, and also thank you for taking the time out of your day to join me, and to do something different. I'm glad that we got to bring someone from the ranks, and well, you've been doing this a long time, so you could probably be managing a clinic yourself. But thank you for coming on.
You're so welcome. I'm absolutely honored. I really think this is an important group of individuals, and I'm so glad that we can speak out like this.
Awesome. I also want to take a moment to thank our listeners for joining us today. If you want to keep up with the podcast and the interesting conversations with our guests, don't forget to subscribe, and please share us with your friends on social media. Another shout out to Boost Patients for producing the podcast. Boost helps ophthalmology practices get more new patients without spending a dime on marketing. You can learn more about Boost Patients at their website, boostpatients.com, or check out the show notes. Hang in there, ophthalmology gurus. We'll get through this experience together. Have a great week.